Hey everyone, what's up? In this video I want to show you another set of toys that I would like to present to you. So if you guys remember the first YouTube video on the topic of toys, I presented you and did a toy review on the Hot Wheels cars. Now in this video I wanted to show you something else. So what you see in front of you is a whole lot of pod racers. So you probably may recognize some of the characters from episode 1, but also what you also notice is you also see new racers, like new contestants, new competitors. So some pod racers are similar and some pod racers are different, but here's the interesting part. If you look really closely at all the pod racers, you know that there are some comparisons between two pod racers. So I'm gonna give a few examples. So let's start off with this pod racer and Teamto Palgi's pod racer. Now here's what's really cool about these two pod racers. Now if you look at Teamto Palgi's pod racer, you know that his pod has the circle chariot, the circle pod, which is really cool. And as you can tell, his colors are gray, orange, and red. So you guys may remember this pod racer when Teamto got hit by the Tusken Raiders and his chariot went flying. Similar to Teamto's pod racer, here is another one. Now this is similar to Teamto Palgi's pod racer, but here's the difference. What you see on this pod racer is it's all orange, and what you see on the engines is, as you can see here, they look like handles. And I thought was really cool about this is when you look really closely, just the engines look more like rockets, like they look like a rocket ship, like as if someone took the parts off a rocket ship and just used it for a pod racer, which I thought was just so cool. And the way it's designed, it's just so cool looking. It's like this pod racer can like fly in outer space, like this racer is built for racing in outer space, which I think is just so cool. So this is just one example. Alright, let's put these two back. Here is another example of pod racers, and here they are. This is one. Here is another one, and here's another one, and here's another one. Now these 4 pod racers have like 4 different colors. Now what's really cool about them is they're all the same, but what's really cool is that all 4 of them are different colors. So I'm going to present each one of them to you right now. So this pod racer like reminds me of Odie Mandrell's pod racer. If you guys remember from Star Wars Episode 1, when one of the pit droids went through the engine and destroyed the whole pod racer completely. What I like about this pod racer is it looks more like a lava red color, which I think is just really cool. Like it looked like it came from like Mars or a lava planet. And I think this is just really cool. And I think the color red is just so cool. And if you look closely at the engines, it's like, if you look here, it's like they're transparent a little bit. But what's really cool about this is it's the color. So when you look at the red color of it, it's like you think of Mars or you think of lava. Like that, like in all honesty, like this pod racer would be meant for like racing against fire or racing against lava and like Mars or a lava planet. And I think that's just really cool. Another pod racer like this one, this is more of a turquoise green color. Now this is a really nice one. Now this one's more like a a forest color. This is more like an earth pod racer, like a pod racer that can just race against land, which I think is just really cool. And what's really cool about this is that the color is just so nice and just so cool and so made. And I think what's really nice is that when you look at this color, you think of like a forest or you think of like a grassy field. So it's kind of like this pod racer would be used for like racing against land or racing against grassy fields, which I think is just really cool. Now the third one, this one's really nice. Now this one's really cool. Now this is more of a dark navy blue color. Now I think what's really cool about this, like this is more like an aqua pod racer. Excuse me, I didn't mean to say iPod. I meant to say pod racer. What's really cool about this is with this pod racer, it's like this pod racer can pod race on ocean. And I think that's really cool because it's got the aqua blue color. And I think what's really cool about this is this is like a pod racer that came from Neptune. And what's really cool about this is when you look at this pod racer, you think of like the first thing that would come to mind would be either water or the beach. And I think that's really cool because of the aqua blue color or the dark navy blue color, which I think is just really cool. So this pod racer would be meant for like racing against water or racing on like a water planet. And I think this is just really nice. And the last one is, now this is more of like a bright yellowish gold pod racer. Now this is more like a pod racer that would race against the surface of the sun. Like this is like a pod racer that would race on the sun. So it's kind of like, so this is just really cool. So besides lava, this pod racer can race on the sun because of the color, and I think this is just really cool. This is like a gold pod racer. This pod racer looks like victorious. Like it's got this yellowish gold color. This looks like a pod racer that wants to win first place and gain victory. And I think this is just really cool. Like the yellow, it is bright and loud, but at the same time, it's really cool. So it's kind of like you're looking at like these. So looking at these four pod racers, they look like elements. It's like this one's like the element of fire, element of grass, element of water, and an element of the sun. And I think that's really cool. It's like these pod racers have their own element. So that's what I found so cool about these four pod racers, and I think that was just so awesome to look at. All right, let's put these back. Now another thing, another pod racer that I liked, of course, was this pod racer. Now this pod racer was just so cool looking. Now if you look at the front, this almost looks like one of the engines looks like something you would see in the original Star Wars, like the TIE fighters. Now I thought what was really cool about this is if you look at the blue and the yellow, what's really cool, it's similar to Al Dorabito's pod racer, but instead this is more cool looking. So the engines, like I said, they look like the TIE fighters from the original Star Wars, and it looked like this pod racer contestant like ripped off the wings of a TIE fighter and just used it for his pod racer and added some detail to it, which I think is just really cool. The blue and the yellow I think is just really nice, and the pod here, as you can see, I think it just looks really cool. It almost looks like a mini rocket pod. Like I think it just looks cool. It just looks like this pod racer can race into the night, like race into the stars, which is just really cool. So I kind of call it like the outer, well, not the outer space pod racer. I would call it like the Starry Night pod racer, and I think that's just really cool. Another pod racer that I liked was this one. Now, what was really cool about this one? Now, this is more of This is more of a turquoise green color. Now, I thought what was really cool about this is it almost looks like the shape of a letter A. I think what's really cool about this is if you guys look closely, like, you know, the engines are tilted and they're like almost closing in on each other, but what's really cool about this is it almost looks like the shape of a letter A. And I thought that was just really cool. And if you look closely at the pod right here, it almost looks like the shape of an arrow or a triangle, which I think is just really, really cool. And what's really cool about this is it's got this, it almost looks like this almost looks like, if you look at it from a far distance, it almost looks like a bow and arrow pod racer kind of thing. And I think that's just really cool. So it's almost like someone could race in an archery field, which I think is just really, really cool. And I think like that's just so awesome. All right. Another pod racer that I also like was, now this is another one. Now, this is also another pod racer. Same thing, looks like a letter A. But if you look at the back of the engines, they almost look like, I don't know how to explain this, but it just looks so cool. That's like 3 engines, and it almost looks like this pod racer can go really, really fast. Like if you triple the speed, like this pod racer looks like he can win the race within a heartbeat, and I think that looks really cool. And what's really cool about this pod racer is, as you can tell, it looks like this pod looks like another rocket, which I think is just really, really cool. And it has this like this industrial look with the gray and the gold, and I think this is just really cool to look at. And if you look really closely, I think what's really cool about this, like this looks like this pod racer was made in a factory. And I think like this is just so cool. This is another pod racer, which I think is just really cool looking. And another pod racer that I also like was this one. Now this one almost looks like see-through, which I think is just really cool. Now this looks like, now if you look really closely, the pod of like the chariot of the pod racer, it almost looks like a water droplet. Now this almost looks like what I like to call the aqua pod racer. Now the reason why I call it the aqua pod racer, if you look really closely, the whole engine almost looks like a water droplet. But what's really cool about this is this looks like a pod racer that could race on water or race in a water planet, and I think that's just really cool. And I think like the see-through of it makes it look really, really cool. It almost has that metallic look, and I think that's really, really awesome. As you can see, it's like shining a little bit, and I think that's really, really cool. So this is another one I really liked a lot. This pod racer in particular, because of the color with the blue, red, and silver and gray, and I think that's just really cool. I think that's just really nice. And one more pod racer I wanted to show you was this one. This one I really like. This one I found interesting about this pod racer. Now what's really funny about this one now if you look back at Team Topalgi's pod racer, you see like how his engines are facing upward. Here's what's funny about this one. If you look at this pod racer, it looks like this pod racer's this contestant's engines are facing upside down, and I've never seen anything like it, but it's just so cool to look at. So it's kind of like, it looked like he took the engines, instead of leaving them upward, he must have flipped them upside down and think to himself, would I be able to race faster with the engines upside down? Well, I don't know, but it looks cool. And also the chariot pod of the pod racer. Now this looks really nice. This is more like it almost looks like the shape of a trophy, like as if he won like in one of his races before coming on to the Bone to Eve Classic team, which I think is just really cool. Now his chariot looks really cool because as you can see, he's got the yellowish gold and gray, and I think this is just really cool in a way. And as you can tell, like this is just a really, really, really cool pod racer. Now it's interesting because you can see like this pod racer's engines are upside down, like they're upside down, but at the same time they just look interesting and they just look cool. And I kind of feel like this pod racer just sticks out because like the engines are upside down, but at the same time just look cool. And if you look at the back, you see like it's got like the 3 thrust hole. Now that's really cool. Almost similar to Bull's Roar pod racer, as you can see. I'm gonna put you back. Let's bring Bull's Roar out. Now, as you can see, with Bull's Roar, as you can see, he's got the four pod racer thrust. But for this guy, he's got like more of the 3 pod racer thrust, but they're really close together. And I think that's just really cool. And the color, the yellowish gold and gray and silver, I think it just looks so cool. I think it just looks unique in a way because, like I said, the engines are upside down, but it just looks cool. So now that you got to see like some of the new racers, I also want to introduce you to another toy that I got on eBay, and as you can see here, I got the Star Wars Episode 1 Arch Canyon Adventure. Now, what was really cool about this, here, I'm going to show it to you right now in a closer look. What was really cool about this, about this toy was a good friend of mine and we were talking about this on Instagram Messenger, and I remember, I don't know if I told you the story, but I'm going to tell it to you right now. I told this to my friend, and I said, I want to recreate the Bunta Eve classic scene. Now, I found that a challenge because I didn't know how to recreate it exactly, but when I got this set on eBay, it gave me an idea, almost like a starting point. And as you can see here on the back of the box, you notice that the tracks almost look like the Hot Wheels tracks, which I think is just really cool, but it more like in the form of a pod race medium, more like in the format of a pod race, which I think is just really cool. But what's really nice is that the tracks do look like the Hot Wheels tracks, and I think that's really cool. I think what's awesome is what you see here is like when you get almost towards the end, you see like the pod racer is jumping, and I think that's really cool. And so I thought to myself, all right, I want to recreate the Bunta Eve classic scene, but then I thought, you know what, I'm going to do something different. I want to do something like this, but different. So as you can see here, you've got your 2 pod racers, Clegg Holdfast and Dud Bolt. You also have Anakin Skywalker and Rats Terrell. And between these two, I really wanted to get one of these two. And the reason why is because, let's look at this first. Now the pod racer launchers, I just found that so fun to look at because the pod racer launchers, you know, like if you want to have a race with your friends, if you have like a set of pod racers and you got this on eBay, like if you got this on eBay, you would want to have a race with them, just like launch your pod racers to just take off. Now this one was the Bunta Eve Challenge. Now I really wanted to get it, but I just wasn't so sure. And what was really funny about this was when I saw it on this box that I have on my lap right now, it looked bigger, but if I were to get the real thing, it would look smaller. So the first time I looked at it, I thought it just looked bigger. The set was big, but the pod racers were small. But if I were to get it on eBay now, the set would look smaller. But what's really nice about it is, like, my friend and I, we were talking about recreating the Bunta Eve classic scene with this set, but I thought, I don't want to do it just yet. I want to do something creative, like with my like with what I have to begin with, like I found this as like a starter. And I think what's really, really cool about this set is like it just doesn't get any better. You get to have fun with it. You get to have as many races as you want and never get tired. And then you feel like you're like, do I really want to go? Do I really want to go for one more race, or do I just want to stop? But with this set, you've got like multiple possibilities with multiple pod racers, like I showed you. Oh, and don't worry about this. Just ignore that. So there you have it. There you have it. This is the Star Wars Micro Machines Arch Canyon Adventure. So this is the back, and this is the front, which just looks really, really, really cool. Oh, one other thing I wanted to show you was this. Now, what I have in this tiny small plastic are like parts of certain pod racers, and I didn't know what to do this, so I made this like my own pod racer junkyard kind of thing, where like, oh, if I ever want to mix and match different pod racers, I thought like, now's the time to be creative, now's the time to have fun, now is the time to just show off your pod racer creativity. So if you guys are into Star Wars and into pod racing, like what I have this whole set right here, I recommend you get the pod racers from eBay, because what's really cool about them is you get to relive the Bone to Eve classic moment. And I think what's really cool is if you get these on eBay, you'll end up wanting to have fun with them. You'll end up wanting to race with them. You'll end up wanting to share them with your friends and have races as much as you want. And I just find this so cool. And I think what was really cool about this was the reason why. Now, some of you are probably asking yourself, now why does Osher have all his pod racers in a keyboard box? Now I'm going to explain that right now. Now the reason why I have it in I have all my pod racers in a keyboard box, like keyboard cardboard box, is because the first time I put all my pod racers in a small plastic box, they were all crowded on each other. They were just crowding up against each other, and I said, you know what? This is really too much. This is just really, really too much. And I thought, you know what? I'm gonna go bigger. So what I have here, this almost looks like, think of it as like a pod racer garage, like a garage for all your pod racers. And I thought that was just really, really cool. So I thought, you know what? I'm gonna give the pod racers more room. So as you can see from left to right, you see like I have like all 3 rows of pod racers, and it's just great. From the top row, you have all the pod racers from episode 1. The second row, you have the new pod racers, but you also have these 3 pod racers from episode 1. And in the third row, you have still the pod racers from episode 1, but you also have new pod racers as well, which I think is just really cool. So there you have it, my whole Star Wars collection, my whole pod racer lot, I like to call it, and also my Star Wars Arch Canyon Adventure set, and also the pod racer parts. If you ever get them, it won't hurt to mix and match. Just be creative. Just be creative with them, and I think it's just really cool. So there you have it, guys. Please like, comment, and subscribe to my YouTube channel, and thank you very much.